Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thankful to have you here. I'm also grateful that Joe Lowry and Brenda Cobbs are joining us as our special guests. We're still waiting on Director Sheila White from the Finance Department, but we will be getting started shortly. As a reminder, these are all recorded, so if you missed something, you can go back and watch it later, share it with a neighbor or a friend, and we'll do our best to keep the agenda rolling so that we can get back to our evenings. And again, thank you so much for being here. We will get started in the next couple of minutes. As with all of our meetings, we will welcome questions for our presenters, and you can do so by raising your hand, and Sven will unmute you, or if you're not comfortable asking yourself, you can message Sven and he will ask it anonymously for the viewers. And we want to, get to your questions. We will also have some just general Q&A at the very end for myself and Sven. And if you are able to see your chat box throughout the presentation, you can probably expect Sven will be dropping information there based on where the conversation goes. All right, I think we have all our presenters. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. We'd just like to say again, thank you for being with us. This is being recorded. You can watch it later. You can put your questions in the chat or you can message them to Sven, and we will go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome Brenda Cobbs. She is our Senior Manager for Civic Innovation at VCU, and she's been a terrific community partner for us. Brenda, do you have some greetings and updates from VCU?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well today. Counselor Jordan, thank you for having me this evening. Always a pleasure to be with you all, even though it seems like it's short. I wanted to just share a few highlights with our updates from VCU. Super excited to report that we had our VCU Big Event that was relaunched in the spring on April the 13th. We were able to welcome Counselor Jordan to share some remarks with our students, and they were very excited to have you there. During that time, we split into 3 different communities, including 2 within the 2nd district, which included the Fan District Association partnership as well as Carver. And so we worked very closely with CASEL and FDA to be able to identify projects that students could go out and support during that day of service. We had about 40 students that were involved in volunteering on that day. And our goal is to grow that for next year and to have a lot more communities that we're going to be working in. Also excited to highlight that we're able to have some unique opportunities for students within the 2nd district this year. We had one of our students that served as a volunteer on the Fanfare magazine and was able to write in the Fanfare magazine quarterly throughout the whole school year. And we were able to have one of our students work as a work study student in the FDA as well to help with their social media presence. Lastly, Carver Elementary School launched their math tutoring program, and we had several students from our VCU health system and our Monroe Park campus to volunteer, in addition to recess buddies that were able to work with students in the spring outside. Also exciting news, we had our Carver Day of Service in partnership with the Kiwanis Club, as well as Carver Elementary School Administration. So VCU had volunteers from the community, as well as students and faculty to volunteer for 2 days on April 10th and 11th. And we're able to go out and recreate the interactive play area on the blacktop behind Carver Elementary School. Included in that was hopscotch, redesigning the US map, refreshing that Foursquare, and then we also were able to do Carver's mascot, the peanut. And so students actually sent us some thank you cards on Friday that were very cute, and so we're able to look through those, and I'm just excited to be able to have the opportunity to partner with Carver Elementary School and their administration. We are looking forward to continue to engage our students in volunteer opportunities and to support the administration's vision at Carver Elementary. I've also been in conversations with the Historic Jackson Ward Association about being involved in some service projects as well. And so we're looking to see what we can put together for the fall and the spring of next year. As we look at our semester ending, we had our spring move out for on campus that has already started for our traditional dorms as of last weekend, and our on campus apartment dorms, students are moving out slowly, depending upon what last minute things they have to take care of and the ending of their leases. We have been working very closely with our off-campus housing department. We have an amazing new staff member there who has been very intentional about working with students one-on-one as well as in groups to share guidance about off-campus move out. We are hopeful this year, look, fingers crossed, that we will see some decrease in the trash during the move out time. We have reopened our on-campus free store and have been encouraging students throughout the spring, and we'll continue having opening hours where they can bring their items that they do not need so that they can dispose of them appropriately. We've also been sharing other resources with students that have furniture and large items, bulk items, that they can actually take those items to or have them picked up to decrease the amounts of trash that we typically see during the move out season. This will be one of my priority goals while in this role, to continue to work on that. And so we'll share updates as they come. I've already also talked with Sven and DPW about the bulk pickup days, and we're trying to make sure that students have the information so they know where to appropriately dispose of their items. We had our VCU commencement last weekend, and there were 4,700 graduates during that class, including over 3,000 undergraduates and approximately more than 930 students receiving their master's degrees. Around 380 were awarded first professional degrees, and about 300 earned their PhDs. So as you can see, we had quite a tremendous class of 2024. So we're excited about the students that are moving on to continue their professional journeys. Wanted to share with you all that we have our Marion Francis Youth Center that is offering a summer program for young people K-8. We still have a few more spaces available if anyone is interested. I will put the link in the chat after my presentation if you're interested in getting your young people, or if you know young people that are looking for summer opportunities. Our summer camp will start on June the 10th and will run through the entirety of the summer, and it will be 3 phases of multi-sport, which will include tennis, basketball, as well as other hands-on practical things that they can do that will help to make sure that they are active during the summertime. Our goal is to keep them engaged, but also to make sure that they have fun while they are with us during that time. We have scholarships available for those that are unable to pay the full tuition, and would love to work with any students that are interested, or parents that are interested in getting their young people signed up. And then the last thing I'll share is that VCU has also been doing some training within our Marion Francis Youth Center for various topics. We have free training available for those that are in the youth development space, mental health, or even that want to go more into learning about trauma-informed practices. I will share the link for the information in the chat if you're interested in finding out more about how to plug into those spaces. Some of them are in person, but we also have some that are available virtually if you're unable to come in person to join us. And then I will put some important links in the chat as well. I always encourage folks to sign up for our VCU newsletter to kind of keep their eyes open with our master plan that is always actively open for you to view, as well as our VCU athletic schedule. So those are all of the updates that I have at this time, and I will be welcome to take any questions.
Thank you. Just had one quick one before we open it up to the audience. You mentioned the master plan. I know often things get green lighted when the Board of Visitors are in town, and they just recently had a meeting. Are there any imminent projects that affect the second district?
Not at this time. There have been no updates for the master plan currently.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have a question for Verinda? You can either, as Sven is noting, put it in the chat, raise your hand, we'll unmute you, and you can ask on your own. Obviously, something that's been affecting the whole city have been the protests. And I asked Verinda before we started our meeting, just if there had been a meeting, amongst the different public safety groups and city agencies on, what happened at the library and the actions that were taken to clear out people who were exercising their freedom of speech. And wasn't unfortunately something that she was involved in, but I've asked for an update on what happened. And if that meeting hasn't occurred, I would very much like to be in it. So any other questions for Brenda before we move on to our next agenda item? All right, well, Brenda, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope everyone has successful graduation. I love seeing all the students taking their graduation pictures. It's really heartwarming. They worked hard and they earned it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to stay on for a while.
Okay, great, terrific. Well, I believe our next presenter is Sheila White. Is that correct, Sven? Excellent. Sheila, welcome to our meeting. Do you want to test your audio and video?
Absolutely. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
joining.
Thank you for having me. Really a pleasure to be here. I'm Sheila White, Director of Finance for the City of Richmond. I'm responsible for your tax assessments for your personal property vehicles, your real estate bills, among various other duties that I have as the Director of Finance. So you've probably heard a lot from me over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully you've all received your real estate and personal property bills by now. So I did get a couple of questions that I thought you might be interested in. So I think I can share some things that hopefully will be helpful to you. And then I'm certainly open to any questions that you might have. So one of the questions I frequently get is, what's the best way to contact finance? It seems like it's going to be really hard to get a hold of someone. And I appreciate the feedback that we receive from citizens. I certainly do read emails and try to return phone calls when those get escalated to me. But the best way to contact us is through our RVA 311 system, mainly because this provides us with a trackable way of knowing when you contacted us and how long did it take us to respond to your requests. Our goal is to respond to all citizen requests within 7 calendar days or 5 business days. So hopefully when you're reaching out to us and you have a question, whether it's related to your business or to your real property, personal property, that we're meeting that goal. If that's not happening, I would really love to hear from you as a citizen, and you can reach me at Sheila, SHEILA.White at rva.gov. That's my personal email address here at the city, and I do read my emails and respond to those. So another question I frequently get is, how do I best manage my account? I like to do everything digital. I don't necessarily want to have to talk to someone. The city is moving to more of a digital platform. Right now, we've just rolled out on RVA Pay your personal property taxes. So if you haven't signed up for RVA Pay, I'd strongly encourage you to do so. This allows us to be able to give you access into the history of what's happened with your account. Also, you can submit tickets directly through that application and correspond with the Department of Finance related to your personal property vehicles. Right now, it's just for personal property. We are going to be expanding it soon. Our first area of focus will be for the business community, where we're going to launch our admissions, lodgings, meals, tourism applications so that those payments can be received online. Quickly following that will be business, personal property, and then finally the professional occupation and licensing fee process. So those will be coming soon, all within 2025. I'm very excited about the work that's happening. I think it is going to bring the city of Richmond on par with some of our surrounding localities that have already made the leap to a digital platform. Closely following our business platform, we will be rolling out the remainder of our local taxes, which will be real estate, and we do collect other fees related to business permits and other tickets for parking, parking permits, those things. Those will also be online. Those will be coming in 2025. So big question right now is, what are some important dates that I need to be aware of from the Department of Finance? First big date that's coming up will be June 5th. That's the date that your personal property taxes are due. Some of you have already received your bills. Some of you may be waiting on bills. Please make sure that you spend some time reading your bill. We did try to put as much information in as possible, especially for folks who have not received their bills yet. You're probably going to get a little notice that says, hey, due to the timing of your of the mailing of your bill, you will not be assessed penalty and interest until June 30th. So just make sure you take time to read those notes that we put on the bill. We want to communicate with you, make sure that you have all the information that helps you be more effective as a taxpayer in getting in corresponding with the city, knowing what your obligations are and what our expectations are. Then the other due date will be June 14th. That's for real estate. Don't have anything really special going on with real estate bills. All of those went out at the end of April, so don't expect anyone will be impacted, but you could be. So we've noticed that there have been lots of articles about U.S. postal issues, and if you are experiencing that, I do want to let you know that you have options that are available to you in terms of a penalty and interest waiver application. We've recently put that application online, so you don't need to necessarily fill out a paper form. You can actually go in and just fill it out online, right on the city's website on the finance page. So if you go to the finance page and you go to forms, you should be able to find the penalty and interest waiver application form. If it's a USPS postal issue, just put in what has happened, explain to me what's happened. It's not a guarantee, but I definitely want to hear from you because we want to be fair and equitable in how we're applying this. But certainly with all of the news stories about USPS issues, certainly want to be responsive to citizens who might be impacted by that. So please fill that out. So whether that's your personal property or your real estate, we definitely want to hear from you as it relates to those issues. So what are some other things that I hear about frequently related to personal property taxes? I hear a lot in the form of how do I tell the city that I have a high mileage vehicle? It's a new car, it's a newer model car, but there's got a lot of miles on it, and I don't think my assessment is correct. Well, that is what I would call an administrative appeal, and we do have a process for which you can apply to have us look at reassessing your vehicle. So I encourage you to do that. That form is also available online, but if you can't find it, just send a ticket. You can do a ticket either through RVA 311 to say I'd like to have this my vehicle assessed for high mileage, or give us a call at RVA 311. We can email that form to you. So that's something I hear quite frequently, and it's a fairly easy process. We do ask for some documentation, so please be ready to provide that, but we're happy to take a look at your vehicle and make any adjustments that might be appropriate. All right, so other questions that I think you might be interested in hearing more about. We had a lot of legislation this year as it relates to improving our services to citizens. The payment application change that happened earlier this year, which allows your tax payment to go to your most current year. I think that was a very positive change, and I think it was well received. That gives you a little bit more control on understanding how your payment is going to be applied. However, if you're ever in a situation where you need some additional help, and that additional help might come in the form of, hey, I really can't afford it now. I've got a lot of things going on at home. Maybe, it's an illness or an unexpected job loss. The city does offer payment plans, and those payment plans, we've just recently made those a lot more flexible for citizens. So you can enter into a payment plan. You pick that payment option. You have up to 72 months to pay. and you don't have to make a down payment. The one caveat is you can only have one every 5 years, but it's still a good option for you because we believe you know your personal financial situation much better than we can, and you'll be able to pinpoint, hey, when do I really need to pull this trigger because I need some additional time to pay. So I think those payment plans options are a big improvement over what we had before. You're actually we're a little bit more lenient in terms of missed payments. You're not immediately kicked out with one missed payment. So we'll ask you to get back in compliance, but as long as you stay in compliance, you should be good to go at the end of your 72 months. And if you choose to go that long, in paying your taxes back to the city. Okay. Some other enhancements that we've made is one of which will take effect July 1st, has to do with the timing of your payments. It used to be that when you made a payment just one day late, let's say you dropped your payment in June 15th and it was due June 14th for the real estate, you would immediately have been hit with a 10% penalty and 10% interest starting to accrue that day. Now that's not as that hill is not as hard to cross. So what happens the first day is 2% penalty first day that it's late, and then that will then go to the end of June 30th, where it will then go up to 10% in full, and then interest would start to accrue. So that legislation goes to an effect July 1st. So that's a huge relief, I think, for some people who just got a lot of calls last year of like, it was just one day late. Are you kidding me? My bill went up by 10% and I'm also being accrued interest. I think that is going to help folks a lot who just, hey, I just missed it by a day. What can you help me out with? So hopefully that is helpful to folks as they hear more about it. Did also want to mention one other final thing that we're working on, and hopefully this is really something that would be helpful for this group to know more about, which is our elderly and disabled tax relief program. This program's been in place for a long time here at the city of Richmond, but this year we made some enhancements to allow citizens who are trying to participate in this more flexibility in being able to get their needed documentation into the city so we can evaluate and actually be able to decision on those applications. The intention of the council is that this relief is available for citizens, and we want to make sure that we are administering the program in a way that best serves the citizens. So what we've done this year is for people who have applications for fiscal year 2023, so this year that just passed, they should have had all of their information in by 12/31. Well, we've actually extended that date into June 30 of 2024 to allow folks who maybe weren't clear about what the instructions were. Maybe they tried to get in the right thing, but somehow they had the wrong form. These documents are things that we do need to evaluate your application and and for it to be an equitable process, we have to require the same thing from everyone. But we don't want to miss an opportunity when a citizen has tried to comply and get into the relief program. We don't want to deny them an opportunity to be able to get into compliance. So this year we've extended until June 30th for calendar year 23 to get those applications completed. And if you are in the group of folks who have not completed it, you should have received a letter this past week, or you're going to get it this week to tell you, hey, we're still waiting on some information in order to complete your application. So please, if you receive that, definitely reach out to us, get that information back in so that we can complete the process. For fiscal year 24, the application deadline is by statute 12/31. However, I strongly encourage you, so that you don't receive that first half bill for 25, especially at the full amount, that you get all of your application completed and the necessary documents in by 9:30, so that finance can then do the evaluation process and either provide you with, if you qualify for 100% relief, to give you the letter to say you got 100%. But if you have a smaller tax bill, then we can send you the bill that you actually have that reduced amount due on. So those are all of the comments that I had to offer. I hope this has been helpful to you. And thank you for inviting me. If there are any questions, be happy to answer those now.
Thank you so much, Director White. And I do want to say that, sometimes I get pushback for always saying, please use 311. And if it doesn't work, then give us your 311 number and we'll escalate it. I just want folks to know that I used 311 when I didn't know where my personal property tax was. And your staff were terrific. They worked me through it and we solved it on the phone. So the system can work. And I'm very appreciative of the adjustments that have been made to make our city, I think, more customer service friendly when it comes to, these bills and payments. So with that, happy to take questions. Happy to open it up to the floor for questions to you.
Yeah, and Director Wright, we did get 2 questions in the chat so far.
Okay.
One being one that we are definitely hearing a lot around in the last couple of weeks since bills have gone out. But that is, how do we calculate personal property taxes? And this individual said that their bill rose significantly this year.
Yeah. So a couple of things could be going on related to your bill. So I'm going to speak in great generality here. So your personal property tax, the rate is, of course, set by council. So that is set annually. The PPTR, which is the personal property tax relief rate, that's probably the component where most people are seeing changes. PPTR is a state calculation based on the amount of relief that the locality receives. So each year we have to take into account the amount of assessed value that we have in totality for the locality, and then the number of vehicles that qualify for that relief into account. And then, of course, that's going to change because those assessed values fluctuate. And, of course, the number of vehicles are going to fluctuate to a certain extent. So most folks might be seeing a bump in their bill because they're getting less relief. If you remember, starting in 22, we had a step down approach where we went from 50.4% to 23. I think we were at 36.3, and this year we're at 22.9. So I think some of it's coming from that lower personal property tax relief that is available among all the vehicles in the locality. The other thing that could be happening this year to impact citizens and their cars is that we've gone from we had one model when we were in our old system that relied on J.D. Powers, but it was more in general related to the vehicles. Now that we're in RVA Pay, we actually have your VIN number, and we can actually go down to the VIN level to start the assessment for your J.D. Power clean trade-in value. And so that's where it comes in of like, hey, I have more information that you would need that may challenge the assessment we've done in your vehicle, and that's where the high mileage, that's just one of the things you can challenge on. But if you're interested in saying, I really want to understand what goes on with mine, then I would strongly encourage you to call 311. We can, they will create a ticket. if they can't answer it off the top, then they'll send it over to finance and someone will be in contact with you within that 5 business day turnaround. I hope that answers the question. Not sure if there's anything else that you'd like me to add.
Yeah, and Director White, do you mind expanding a little bit on that fixed amount of money, where that is coming
Yeah.
from, and why that is a fixed amount of money that is decreasing with time?
Yeah, that amount has been fixed, I think, since 2008 by the General Assembly. So it's $16.9 million that we get every year. Doesn't change. It was frozen at that point, and each locality gets that amount, whatever their amount is, not that particular amount, but whatever the amount that they were getting in, I think, 2008, and then they have to spread it based on the there are some state guidelines, but also localities can also put in guidelines about how that money is spread. And so we follow the calculation, and that's how that works.
Great, thank you. And if you have any follow-up questions on that, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand and we will unmute you. We do have an additional question from Dave Cantor. 2 questions. One, when RVA Pay is fully implemented, will the city notify taxpayers if their accounts previously had credits?
Not sure what that question is. So I'm gonna have to skip on that one. What's the other question?
The second question is, do you have an estimate of how many accounts have a credit and how much money does that total?
Not sure what that question is, but I'll refer Dave back to Patul. I think she's tried to answer his questions before.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Do you think, I mean, this has been in the news. Do you want to describe, Director White, just what the questions are referencing?
I think he's referencing maybe business accounts, but I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not really, without kind of having the context, I'm not really sure. I'm not really prepared to answer that. That wasn't.
Understood. Any other questions or comments from folks? Again, you can feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you or drop them in the chat. And Dave, we're also happy to follow up offline as well. I'll drop my contact in the chat.
Yeah, I did see an article in the news, but I haven't had an update on where we are as a city with understanding the credits. I know it's a lot more complicated process than it just sounds in a headline, and that we're looking at how the localities treated that. But I mean, what should a customer do if they think that they might have overpaid?
So if a business is, so any taxpayer who thinks they may be due a refund can certainly call RVA 311 and ask for a review of their account. So that's the first place I would start. If I thought I had some money due to me, just give us a call. We'll take a look at your account. That's going to be the first place I would start. If it's a business, certainly they can reach out or their accountant can reach out, but they would need to have some specifics, and there is actually an application process as it relates to businesses.
Okay, and then if someone within your department notices that there is a credit, what is the city doing now? What happens if there's no payment that you observe?
Yeah, if we notice that there's a credit, right now we're going through the business review task force. So there's a whole group of folks that are working on looking at businesses that might have been impacted by changes in legislation in 2019. We're taking a holistic review of all of those businesses' accounts and determining whether or not they actually have anything due to the city, or if there's something from the city that's due to them. But you just can't look at one number and determine that there's something due. You've got to take an entire look at the business's account to determine whether or not there's something due.
Okay. Do we have other questions for Director White? So we still have another presenter and want to open it up for just general second district questions. Sven, do you see any other questions in the chat or otherwise?
I'm not seeing anything as of now.
Okay, excellent. Well, Director White, thank you for being with us. Appreciate you being here today. And I know your staff has a heavy load to lift, and appreciate you extending your evening here by joining us.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. All right, I think we are now on to Mr. Lowry. Thank you so much for being here, and I believe this is the first time you have joined the second district for an update. And I know this is something that has kind of come in and out of folks' attention and focus, but we did establish a civilian review board, and it took, I think, longer than anyone was hoping it would to find that a staff person to come lead it. So we're, thrilled to have someone here now to get this thing moving. Joe, could you provide just a little background on yourself, what drew you to this job, and what citizens can expect from the Citizen Review Board right now, where you guys are and what you're looking forward to in the future?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, Councilmember Jordan. Like she said, my name is Joe Lowry. I am the manager of the Civilian Review Board. I have a background in law enforcement, retired FBI agent, and I believe in the initiative of oversight. For those who may not be familiar, oversight is not really new. Back in the mid-60s, I think was the first time that oversight has started. But it wasn't until after the death of George Floyd that more jurisdictions started to take a closer look. And Virginia, specifically in 2000, implemented the Senate bill, I think it was 5035, which granted oversight to bodies to give them the authority to investigate complaints against law enforcement officers as well as civilians that were employed by law enforcement agencies. And these complaints could range from misuse of conduct, discrimination, harassment, misuse of authority, even death, either by in police custody or by lethal force. Additionally, the oversight bodies have authority to investigate the policies and procedures of these departments as well as make recommendations on any investigative outcomes. So the good thing, though, is if the law enforcement agency declines the recommendation of the board or of the oversight committee, they have 30 days to answer to why they declined. Then, shortly thereafter, well, actually it took 20 years, the state of Virginia actually reenacted the code in January of 2022, and then Richmond followed by implementing the ordinance in October of 2022, and they created the Citizen Review Board. And again, we will review internal investigations completed by the Richmond Police Department. So in that case, the CRB has the authority to make policy, procedural recommendations, make recommendations on disciplinary action. As far as the investigations, we want to make sure that they are complete, they're thorough, impartial. And the good thing about the CRB is it's a separate entity from the Richmond Police Department. So that way we won't have any external influences. Now, the board will be made up of citizens of the city of Richmond, so it's folks just like you. We're going to have 8 members on that board, and their mission is to make sure that, like again, investigations are accurate, complete, impartial. We will be reviewing investigations completed by the Internal Affairs Division, and we will document our findings. All of that will be public. And then we will also make our recommendations to the chief. Once we complete our investigation and review, we'll make those recommendations to the chief. And they have 30 days to, review what we recommended. And again, if they decline, then they have to submit something in writing to the board and to city council why they decline our recommendation. And then to be full transparent, all of that, the report, their reasons for declining, all of that will be public record. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're moving forward. In July, you should see some more information coming from the Civilian Review Board. We will start at that point, probably taking some applications to see who's interested in the board, and probably, move on from there. What board members can expect, there will be a training process through VCU, myself, and the Richmond Police Department, about 6 or 7 weeks of training. I know folks have full-time jobs, so this will be on a part-time basis. That's why it's probably going to take us so long to complete the training. And then once the training is completed, the board members will meet once or twice a month to review not applications, but investigations and so forth. So that's pretty much where we are at this point. And as I mentioned, you will see additional information coming in the next month.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lowry. And I know that we already have a use of force board. Have you been
Yes.
participating in that at all? Just to get a sense for the city?
Yeah, so I am familiar with the use of force board. I'm touching base with the chief's office, trying to sit in on that, but I am familiar with it. And as soon as we can get our schedules, I think they meet once a month or every couple of months. So yes, I will be sitting in on that. But right now, we have completed our SOP, and we now have an MOU that's being circulated between the city attorney's office and the police department. So we're still moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much. And I saw a question already come in, so let's go ahead and open it up to our attendees.
So Mr. Lowry, we've got a question from Julia. What are the qualifications for the board and what type of persons do you seek? And she references that this would be really helpful for neighborhood groups and for our office as well to help spread the word and make sure that folks are applying.
Yeah, so qualifications, you have to be a resident of the city of Richmond. You cannot be a police officer with the city of Richmond. Can't have any family members who are police officers with the city of Richmond. No legal litigation with the city of Richmond. Basically, type of person, just citizens. Because this board is for you all to oversee or make recommendations to your police department. So we're just taking everyday citizens.
Great, thank you. And Julia, if you have any follow-up questions on that, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand and we can unmute you.
And also, Julia, if you have any more questions, we do have a website set up, and it would be civilianreviewboard@rva.gov, and you can shoot an email, and I answer all emails as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I know, this has been something that folks were keenly interested in, not just from the community level, but also from within RPD. There are officers within RPD that wanted to have an impartial place to go to with complaints. So, I think everyone's eager to see the work get started, and I hope you're settling into the city. And, please, if you do have updates, continue to reach out to our office so that we could share the information with the second district. I think you'll find ready partners with City Council on this. We want to see it succeed.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And Julia did have one follow-up question, and that is, who do you see as being folks that would be interested in the board?
From what I've seen attorneys on the board. I've seen business managers. I've seen school teachers. So it's just an array of folks. I would just say anyone who, cares about the community, wants to see, fairness with, the police department and things like that will be someone good to apply.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we are just rolling along here. It's 6:45, and that covers our guest presenters. We did have the City Register was supposed to be on the agenda. Unfortunately, he had some other things come up today. He was not able to stay with us, but we will look to get those updates at our next meeting. And in the interim, related to the fall elections, wanted to share with everyone that I will be hosting a mayoral panel and that date is June 26th. We are looking at a couple locations. We want something that's convenient and, easy to get to, accessible. So, most likely Dogwood Middle School or a training center. But we have invited all the candidates, and this is the opportunity for Second District to get their questions to those candidates. Sven has put that information in the chat. He also put the information in the chat for our next district meeting, which is at the training center, and is a reschedule from the parks update that we were looking to get tonight, but we will get it live in the training center. With that, I think I will, let's see, Sven, any other updates? You've done an excellent job holding down the fort. These last few months have been really taxing. Appreciate everything you're doing to keep the district running smoothly.
It takes a team. So I just wanted to follow up for June 12th that we will also be hearing from. We've confirmed the DPW will be joining us for a Second District infrastructure update. And if folks have been following it, there is a survey, and I'm going to drop the link to it in the chat, for some citywide traffic calming and street redesigns that DPW is proposing and wants to get feedback on. And two of them are really significant in the Second District, one being the extension of the bike lane on Franklin west of Belvedere, and the other being a redesign of the Stewart Circle. So again, I'll drop that link in the chat, but DPW will be discussing that in addition to Parks and Rec and the registrar.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And, of course, some of the big things that we have gotten on the other side of the budget. Appreciate folks who interacted with the budget process this year. Every year, I feel like it's a growing opportunity to think of how you wish you had done it differently. But we did get some great things in the budget this year. I would say chiefly, with the passage of collective bargaining, we were able to increase salaries. The collective bargaining facilitated the increasing of salaries for our staff. And, one of the big goals I think everyone that works at the city has, who's in leadership, is to be improving the delivery of service. And you do that by making sure that you're recruiting, retaining the best staff that you can. It's hard to do that when you are not competitive with your wages. So big, I'd say a big chunk of our budget this year were those raises, which, extends also to RPS. They equally passed collective bargaining and had some, really good raises for their staff and faculty, which, I think everyone supports our teachers, and it's good to see that happening. We want to be just with our city employees, recruiting and retaining the best teachers we can. And then also passed the Diamond District financing bond vote was this week. It's last Wednesday, sorry. And I think everyone knows that there has been a lawsuit to try and block that and have it go to referendum. The first judge that it was assigned to had a conflict of interest, so he recused himself. It's now with another judge, and the hearing is tomorrow at 4 o'clock, which has been in the news. We will know the outcome of that, I think tomorrow. And what we've been told is, don't comment on active litigation, but anything of this scale, you're going to probably have someone trying to slow it down or stop it. And we will hopefully know more by the end of the week. I could go on a lot longer, but I will pause there and open it up to questions. Thanks.
And folks, I did drop the link to the DPW survey in the chat. And again, that closes on Friday.
Yeah, please, please, please. I cannot stress enough how much the feedback of these things actually is weighed. And you want to be voicing your opinions at the front end of the process when it's really shaping the decisions, and not at the end trying to unwind things. And when you're at that stage, trying to unwind something, it's just a much heavier lift, because then you're going against the public process that had been conducted. And just another one, which I think it's still open. They've had 3 meetings now on the Diamond District public realm. Those are the streetscapes, the lighting, the benches, the type of landscaping, type of amenities. That they've had 3 of those meetings. I think the last one was just last evening. 2 of them were recorded, so you could go back and watch probably. And equally, we want to hear from you on that. I'm excited to say that our Director of Sustainability is leading that discussion, which is, I think, critically important. Looks like we have a couple of questions in the chat.
Yeah, Julia followed up with, will people who participate in the survey be given results of the survey?
Mm,
And Julia, I would take that one and just say it sometimes depends on who is administering the survey. And so we're happy to ask DPW in this case whether they are going to be doing that. I know that in general, they do tend to release summary data when it comes to like overall results. Yes, no, kind of. Cleo has thoughts on the survey too. Yes, no kinds of things, but not necessarily individual responses. But I think that's a great question. So we'll follow up with DPW on that.
mhm.
And Janice asks where are the recordings for those Diamond District meetings, and I am trying to find the link to that right now, Janice. And if I can't find it now, it'll definitely be in our newsletter on Friday. Also happy to follow up by email with those.
That's a good point. Yes, I think people want to see the results. That's almost the hook. You want to see how other people are voting, and so you take the survey. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Sven, any last minute thoughts, things I left out?
I would just add, and I know that we've covered this at a couple of meetings now this spring, but we still have a second district Aging and Disability Advisory Board position open. And so if you want to give back to the city, work with our Office on Aging and Disability Services, work with us to help make sure that the city is doing everything we can to provide services to those populations in the city, then I would really encourage you guys to apply. You can find more information on the clerk's website, and I can drop that in the chat, or you can reach out to our office, and we're happy to talk to you about it.
Oh, last thing. Fan art stroll is this Friday. Always a great time. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, special guests, and thank you, Sven, for running another smooth meeting.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Bye.